Alright everybody, it's Friday afternoon. Now, this is your lesson for Monday. Today is Friday, April 24th. I'm outside. It's a sunny day. There's an airplane flying overhead. I apologize. I'm in the pasture. Out here, we'll come out to feed the cows. Got the wife with me. She's reading her book. We're getting ready to go get something to eat. Curbside, of course. We're not going in anywhere. But what I wanted to do was go over just some of the basics of genetics, like we talked about before. Some things like homozygous, heterozygous, genotype, phenotype, dominant, recessive. And I thought it'd be best if we had some examples. I don't know how well you can see it. It's so much glare. I can't even tell what I'm looking at. But we've got some cows out here. Now, when we talk about red or black with cows, now you obviously know what black is. But this orange color, man, I can't see nothing. It's such a glare. This orangish color is what they refer to as red with cows. These are all bred cows. They're going to be calving here about the end of May. Obviously dirty, green grass loosens them up. But they just brought them into this pasture. This is Penelope. Hey, babe, you going to let me pet you? No? That's all right. Kristen will. Why don't you, Kristen? Hey. Anyway, we're going to talk about genetics, and we're going to talk about the black hair versus the red hair coat color. Now, earlier this week, back on this past Tuesday, we're supposed to watch the video on Gregor Mendel. One of the things that was a big sticking point in that video was the fact that up until Mendel, everybody just figured, okay, you have two parents, and the offspring is an average of the two. So if mom is a 6 and dad is a 4, that makes you a 5. They thought, okay, that's just how it is. But that's not how it is. That's not how it is. But everybody thought that. Well, then Gregor Mendel starts screwing around with all these P's. He's got the greenhouse going. He's collecting all this data. And maybe if you can remember if you were in class on the days when we did the sample size activities, then you're already hip to it, to the idea that you get a large enough sample size, you'll find patterns in your data, and you can start to predict things. Well, that's what Mendel did with the peas. He gets a large enough sample size, and he's realizing, hey, the offspring are not an average of the two parents. They're either this or they're this. Now, it's easy because he was looking at a characteristic that's controlled by one pair of alleles, where you get one from mom, one from dad. And what he realized in that pattern was that there was dominance. One, you could have dominance, something could be dominant or recessive. And I'm just going to write the word here. Dominant, recessive. And this is the first time where we're combining some concepts. Up until now, or up until Mendel, up until his work, people looked at an individual, at an organism, and they evaluated what was called the phenotype, or the physical characteristics of that organism. Like you would look at the cow and you'd say, black cow, red cow. Okay, great. Well, what Mendel's realizing is there's other factors involved besides what we see. Now, he didn't have the term genetics yet, but what he was expressing later became known as genotype, or the genetic representation of an organism. So he knew that you had these two, he called them factors, but later they became known as alleles. You have these two alleles. You get one from each parent. And if both alleles are the same, then the term for that is homozygous. Hang on. The term for that was homozygous. And that's Latin. Homo means the same. Zygous means it comes from a zygote. A zygote is Let me write that. Hang on. Comes from a zygote. And a zygote is simply a fertilized egg. With a zygote, you have one allele from each parent, and you're a single-celled organism. So in that single-celled organism, the alleles are the same, homozygous, same alleles in your zygote. If you're homozygous, then, you know, for example, like with Gregor Mendel and his peas, if mom was smooth and dad was smooth, and they were homozygous, then you will also be smooth. You will also be homozygous. The cows are the same way. If you have a cow that's black and she's homozygous black, then, and if you mate that cow to a bull that's homozygous black, then the calf's going to be homozygous black. And we can later, Mendel, through all of his data, decided you could predict this using the Punnett square. Because if mom is homozygous black and dad is homozygous black, and you get one allele from each parent, then all of your options are to be homozygous black. But what gets interesting is once, I got to put a little sanitizer on this to clean this puppy off. Once Mendel started crossing with his peas, that's when things got interesting. And we can kind of do this with the cows. Like what Mendel was finding, he says, okay, we got mama over here with the smooth peas, and we got papa over here with the wrinkle peas. And you cross them, and all of the offspring were smooth. And that's how he realized, okay, smooth dominates wrinkled. Well, with our cows, black is the dominant hair color. So if we had a black bull, and you mate that black bull to a red cow, the babies are going to be black. And I can show you that with this when we talk about dominant, recessive, homozygous. Oh, yeah, we did homozygous. Hetero is different. We did homozygous. I forgot to do heterozygous. So if mom is homozygous black, which was dominant, dominant's the capital letter, and dad was heterozygous in red, or excuse me, homozygous in red and recessive, mom was black, homozygous, homozygous. So we do our Punnett square. Remember, mom goes up here. Mom's always on top. Then we have dad. We just carry these over. Carry these down. We've crossed. We took a red, bred it to a black. So even though the parents were both homozygous, the offspring are all going to be heterozygous because they get the black allele from mom, the red allele from dad. They're all heterozygous, but also they are all what color? That's right, they're all black because they all have a big B. And so then we can look at the frequency or ratios on this. They are going to be, we can sometimes look at what percent black. We can look at percent red. We can look at percent big B, big B. We can look at percent little b, and we can look at percent big B, little b. In this case, we're 100% big B, little b, and 100% black. So, but what Mendel did was then after he had this first cross, he came back and he took those offspring that were heterozygous and he mated them. And he said, okay, now everybody's smooth peas. So now we get this second generation, smooth pea and smooth pea. But then we see this pattern where some of them come out as wrinkle peas. So if we have mom that's big B, little b, heterozygous black, dad is big B, little b, heterozygous black. We put that in the Punnett square. And what we find is our ratios change drastically. Now what we find, and this is what Mendel did. The offspring are not just average of the parents. You have this predictable number where you have 25% homozygous dominant, 25%, and if you think 25% because it's 4 quarters is $1, 25% homozygous recessive, 50% heterozygous. You're 75% black, 3 quarters, 75 cents, 75% black, 25% red. And this is review. We talked about this. I introduced it between Christmas or Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we use this in various things throughout the spring. I want to get into the dihybrid cross because the dihybrid cross is the level that, from a high school biology standpoint, is where you should be. This is something that you should have seen in 7th and 8th grade. A lot of you didn't, and I'm sorry for that. I can't control what happens when you're not with me. But this right here is something that this should be reviewed. This is something that you should have known before you got to my class. But I realize that most of you maybe have briefly touched on this, but you don't have this down. So you took some time back, second term and third term, to kind of reinforce this. But I wanted you to get this lesson to kind of remember these terms: homozygous, heterozygous, dominant, recessive, phenotype, genotype. We review this. Then the next lesson, what I'm going to be posting on Tuesday, we're going to run through a dihybrid cross, where this is a monohybrid. This is where we look at one trait. The dihybrid, we look at 2. It gets a little more complicated, but the concepts are the same. It's, I think we're good. What I want you to do, though, so I'm going to post this video Monday morning, 7:45, Paul Laurence Dunbar time. And you're going to watch this, and I want you to kind of run this through your mind. You're obviously going to have questions. You have some different formats for asking me that question. I'm really bad about returning phone calls, but you can call me. My number is listed in the office hours on the Google Classroom. I have the Google Meet from 12 to 1. You can chime in. I'm doing that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I get very few people chiming in on that. It gets boring as can be. So pop in, tell me what's going on. We'll chat a little bit. You ask me your question. And I do that as I grade. So if you get in on the Google Meet, I give you 50 points. You got to do that once a week. I expect you to do that once a week. When you watch the video and you leave a chat in the Google Classroom, I'm running that like a message board. So you'll leave a post, and a lot of you just put, "Yep, I watched it." Okay, good. Now you got your 10 points participation for the day. I don't know if you can hear the neighbors got some sheep over there. But anyway, you'll get your 10 points participation for the day. But that's also an excellent opportunity, and some of you have been utilizing this opportunity, but that's a great opportunity to ask a question. There have been some great questions, and sometimes you can follow through that stream of comments, and you can see where different people have left different questions, and you might have the same question. But so we run that like a message board. You can ask questions there. You can ask questions in the Google Meet. You can send me an email. You can give me a phone call. Now, so that's your opportunity. The Google Meet is an assignment, once a week assignment. The leaving a comment in that message board format, that's an extra credit assignment. But here's the kicker. After you watch this, I started this on Monday the 20th, and I had about 23 people out of 122 that actually completed the assignment. Thank you. You know who you are. But I want you to create a Google Doc, and I want you to think, well, if I was going to have a test on this, what would be a good question? What's a question that really kind of ties all this together? What's an important question on this material? And you put the question and the answer in a Google Doc, you send it to me. That's a 25-point assignment. And I do that twice a week. You're going to do a test question on this. You're going to do a test question on the dihybrid cross one that you'll look at on Tuesday. You send those to me, 25 points apiece. Chiming in on the message board, extra credit. Getting in the Google Meet, that's a 50-point assignment. I want you to get an A. I want you to have an A in my class this term, and all you have to do is participate. Now here's the thing, the flip side. I realize not everybody has good internet. I also realize a lot of you are still doing this on your phone. You missed the opportunity to get the Chromebook. If you're doing this on your phone and you can't work the Google Docs, let me know. Send me an email, let me know, say, Houston, I'm struggling. I can't do this on my phone. I'll work with you. I'll make you exempt from those assignments. Pretty sweet. If in my house, my wife, she's working. She's in Google Meets and she's doing stuff all the time. My kid, he's doing his schoolwork on the computer all the time. I'm trying to do my stuff. We're in each other's space. We're getting on each other's nerves because everybody's talking at the same time, or I'm trying to do something and somebody needs something, and it gets a little bit chaotic. And I'm sure there might be a little bit of that where you live. Maybe you have brothers and sisters and you're trying to share a device, or maybe there's other stuff going on in the house and you just don't have any quiet time. Maybe you're at work. I don't know. But if you are aware that these assignments are here and you're struggling to get them done, let me know. Man, I got your back. I'm on your side. I want you to get through this. But at the same time, we have to learn how to do this and be successful on this, because there's a pretty good chance that come August, this is how we start the school year. Because when the Spanish flu pandemic hit, that lasted for 14 months. That was a true pandemic for 14 months. And if this one goes 14 months, that means we carried it into May of 2021. So hopefully our modern technology and our expert leaders, excuse me, can get us through this a little bit better than we did that Spanish flu. But I'll give you one last pass at the cows. They're all like sitting here going, why are you in our pasture? Ooh, see, with all this glare, I can't even see in the screen. There they are. They're just wondering why everybody's in the pasture. They're wondering why I'm out here talking. They're not wild. They're not crazy. But they're not pets either. They're just out here eating grass and chilling. Getting ready to have babies. Isn't that right? Am I right? These 3 black ones are all belong to my kid. Isn't that crazy? We still recording? Yep, there we are. All right. Anyway, I'm going to get this posted, and I want to hear from you. I want your participation. This is how it's going to be. This is your ticket to success. Another thing, if you're struggling in any of your classes, send AP Bailey an email. Get her in the loop. Get her looped in. Let her know what your struggles are. Because the worst thing that could happen is May rolls around and you're failing a class because there's something that could have been fixed or some adjustment could have been made and we didn't know about it. And then it's too late to do anything about it. So don't let it go too late. Interims go in on Tuesday, so make sure, that's going to be the 28th. So if you watch this on the 27th, get it done. Bye.